Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to understand about another IO processor. In one of the previous sessions, we discussed about IBM 370 channel, which was an IO processor built by IBM. Now, let us have a look at Intel 8089 IO processor. This Intel 8089 IO processor is designed by the Intel itself. You know that Intel is a famous manufacturer for the processors. Intel success has been started right from 8085 and 8086. All the new generation processors are the successors of Intel 8086, which can be considered as the mother of all the processors. Now let us have a look at how this 8089 actually does work. Let us have a look at the figure. In the figure, we are using a system. Let us understand that this is a system. In our computer system, we are primarily using two processors. One is 8086, another one is 8089. Whereas 8086 is going to perform the regular computing task and 8089 is going to perform the IO processing, the IO tasks. What is an IO task? IO task is eventually a data transfer in between peripheral device and the main memory using some or the other mechanism. So every time when 8086 has to execute a program, it is going to examine this program for the IO programs, IO subprograms. In the previous session, I explained you that a program also contains some IO subprograms. For an example, if you do have a printf statement, it is a separate IO program of your entire program. In your regular program, there is a separate program. Whenever you write a printf statement, it acts as a separate IO program because the printf is going to print some data onto the console. So in order to print the data onto the console, some IO program is needed to be executed. So each and every program which is written by the user is going to have some IO program in it. When 8086 is executing a program, it is going to anyhow execute the normal flow of the instructions. But when it comes to an IO program, it is going to communicate the same to 8089 IO processor. And the 8089 IO processor is going to carry out that IO program, thereby the transfer from peripheral device to the main memory or vice versa will get finished. Now let us have a clear look at how the 8089 is going to function. Let us see. Initially, the first thing that you need to understand is the Intel 8089 is divided into two different parts. Let us say that there is a line in between this, exactly drawn in the middle, which separates 8089 into two parts. Each of the part is called a channel. That is, 8089 is of two channels. What is a channel? A channel is similar to a processor. Simple. What is a processor? Processor is going to execute the programs and the IO transfers. So 8089 is built up of two channels, two separate channels. Each channel is going to perform the same task as the other. That is, Intel 8089 you can imagine as two separate IO processors. So whenever one processor, rather one channel is busy, the regular CPU can initiate one more IO task by using another channel. Now let us focus how 8086 is going to communicate with 8089. In the figure, you can have a look at the memory unit. This memory unit is connected to the system. And once again, the system has two processors. One is 8086, another one is 8089. 8086 is a regular processor, 8089 is an IO processor. So now, these two guys are going to use the same memory unit via something called as a bus controller. This bus controller can also be called as a multi-bus system. What is a multi-bus system? The same memory unit can be accessed by two separate processors simultaneously, but one at a time. This is the reason why these bus controllers can also be called as multi-bus, because if 8086 wants to access memory unit, it has to take the permission from the controller, because if 8089 is already using the memory unit, 8086 cannot communicate with it. In order to avoid the chaos, only one processor will be able to access the memory unit at a time. Now, let us say 8086 wants to initiate a task to 8089. That is, an IO operation, rather some IO program is needed to be transferred to 8089. Intel 8086 want to have this 8089 carry out an IO task, that is transferring the information from peripheral device to the main memory or vice versa. So 8086 is going to communicate with 8089 by using channel attention and the select lines. The moment channel attention line is enabled, this 8089 will completely be selected or invoked, whatever you call. By using this select line, it is going to select one of the two available channels. So only to one specific channel it is going to initiate the IO program. Now, the moment it initiates this, it is going to use the main memory unit. That is, this 8086 is going to use a space in the main memory. In that specific space, 8086 is going to prepare a message and transfer. After which, this 8089 is going to read the message which is written by 8086. The message contains the activity or the task that is needed to be performed by 8089. Then the 8089 will carry out the task, after which it is going to use the same block in the main memory to prepare another message, after which the 8086 is going to read the message which is sent by 8089. Thereby, these two processors will be able to communicate with each other. Once again, the 8086, when it wants to initiate an IO operation or IO task, it is going to use these two lines. One is channel attention line and a select line. So one of the channel of the 8089 will get selected, after which the 8086 is going to prepare a message. Essentially, the message is going to contain the task that is needed to be carried out. That message will be written in a block of the main memory, after which, as 8089 is selected, the 8089 is going to read a message that is written in the memory block, after which the 8089 will be able to carry out the task that is initiated by 8086. The moment 8089 finishes with the task, it is going to write another message in the main memory unit saying that I finished this task. Then 8086 is going to read the same block in the memory unit. Thereby, it will be able to find out that if the task is finished properly or not. Now, let us have a look at. Sometimes there will be input devices or output devices try to communicate with the system. So far, we are talking about when the user program has an IO subprogram, how the IO subprogram will get executed. At that time, 8086 will communicate with the 8089. But sometimes, during an interrupt, what is going to happen? Let us say you pressed a key. When you pressed a key in the keyboard, immediately the keyboard is going to interrupt the computer system. But now, let us understand that all the devices will get initially connected to 8089. Here, we are not interrupting the CPU directly. CPU will always be executing some or the other program without any interrupt directly by the IO devices. Rather, the IO devices are connected to 8089 via an interface. So, when there comes an interrupt, the interface is going to interrupt 8089 initially. When 8089 gets interrupt, then it is going to use a special interrupt line to interrupt the CPU. Now here, the IO operation has been initiated by 8089. When there is an IO program In the regular program, 8086 is going to talk to the 8089. But when the devices try to communicate, 8089 will be initially interrupted by the devices, after which the 8089 is going to interrupt 8086. The moment 8086 receives the interrupt, it is going to examine the task to be carried out, after which again the process will be the same. It is going to use some block in the main memory to prepare a message, and 8089 is going to read the message which is prepared by 8086, after which the 8089 is going to carry out the task that is initiated. Eventually, the task is just nothing but the IO transfer, the main memory to the peripheral device transfer. Now, CPU enables the channel attention. This is the channel attention. When the channel attention is enabled, 8089 gets selected, after which it is going to select one of the two channels of 8089 by using the select lines. After which 8089 gets attention of the CPU by sending an interrupt request. Yeah. So the moment 8089 gets interrupted, it is going to tell the CPU that it is ready. Okay. So interrupt line will be used by 8089 to interrupt the 8086. This interrupt will be used in two different times. That is, once after it is ready, when it is invoked by the 8086, or this 8089 when it gets interrupted by the IO devices. In these two cases, 8089 it is going to use this interrupt line to say that there has been an IO operation carried out. Okay. Now, let us understand how 8089 will be communicated by the 8086. Let us have a look at it. In the main memory, the 8086 uses three blocks. Something called a control block, another one is called a parameter block, and another one is called task block. What is this control block, parameter block, and a task block? I told you that when 8086 wants to initiate an operation to 8089, it is going to use a block in the memory to communicate with 8089. This block is not, in fact, a single block. Rather, these are multiple blocks. In fact, exactly in number 3. There are 3 different blocks. So all these 3 blocks are significantly used by 8086 to prepare the message. Now, how the message is going to be prepared, let us have a look at. Initially, it is going to write in the control block. The control block, there are 3 fields. One is busy field, second one is channel command word, and the third one is parameter block address. Let us understand what are these. There is a busy field. Busy field is a 1-bit field. If the busy field is 0, that means that 8089 is completely busy and it is already engaged in some other duty. But when busy is equal to 1, it is busy. When busy is equal to 0, it is not busy. Okay. When busy is equal to 1, 8089 is free to do any task. When busy is equal to 0, it is free. When busy is equal to 1, it is engaged. So 8086 will see if it is equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, then 8086 can initiate an IO operation to 8089. If it is equal to 1, it can't initiate because it is already engaged. Now, the moment it sees that it is 0, it is going to fill channel command word. What is the channel command word? The channel command word has, separate commands. First one is start command. What is the command? Command is an IO program. First one is start command. That is, Mr. 8089, you need to start the IO program, or suspend the command. Mr. 8089, you're already executing an IO program that must be suspended. Resume command. One command, rather IO program, which has been suspended must be resumed. Halt command. It must be halted. The IO program that is being executed must be halted currently rather than being suspended. So these are the different channel command words can be written by 8086. Let us say now at this point of period 8086, as it is initiating an IO program to 8089, it is going to use obviously the first command, that is start command. Start command is 8089, you need to start an IO program. So where is the IO program? In order to get the IO program, in order to intimate the 8089 where the IO program is, it is going to use PB address. What is PB address? Parameter block address. Okay, by using parameter block address, the 8089, rather 8086 will intimate 8089 where the IO program is located within the main memory. So let us say the parameter block address is just nothing but a pointer which is going to show the initial address of the program, IO program. Okay, now the parameter block address is pointing to the parameter block in which there is one pointer to the task block address. What is the task block address? The task block address is the actual IO program. Next field is memory address. What is the memory address? You know that the main memory is divided into two initial parts. When a program is being executed, the program will be stored in the instruction part and the data will be stored in the data part. So for the instructions, there should be the data operands. This memory address is just nothing but a pointer to the data operands for the instruction, the IO instructions. Next thing is the byte count. What is the byte count? The number of bytes that are needed to be transferred at this point of period. That is, whenever there is an IO operation, the IO operation eventually is involved in some transfer, as already you know. So total number of bytes are actually how many? Next, device address. To or from which device the transfer has been initiated. Every device will be given an address, you already knew it. Track and sector. In the case of a CD transfer or a DVD drive, this field will be used. Finally, we do have something called a status. What is status? If there is an error, if there is an error identified, if the device is engaged, or if the device has some problems, the status field will be used. Okay, so this is the parameter block in which the parameters will be identified. After which the 8089 will go to the task block. This task block is a specific section of the main memory in which the IO program is written. So as the IO program is being executed, finally the transfer will be completed. Once again, let us understand the sequence of operation that are performed. When 8086 tries to communicate with the 8089, it uses certain blocks in the memory. So initially, it will identify what is this busy field. If this busy field is 0, then it is going to initiate a operation to 8089. It is going to fill the command here, channel command word. What is the channel command word? There are 4 channel command words: start IO program, suspend IO program, resume IO program, or halt IO program. Let us say it as it is initiated IO program. This channel command word is just nothing but start command. After starting the command, 8089 must be intimated with the program's address. IO program, what is the address? Which IO program in the main memory that 8089 is needed to execute? So it is going to use PB address, that is parameter block address. The parameter block address is a pointer to the parameter block. In the parameter block, these are all the parameters will be filled by the 8086. The first parameter that is filled by is task block address, that is IO program's starting address, the pointer to the IO program. When the program gets executed, this program requires a certain data operands. For those data operands, the memory address will be specified in the memory address field. Then the byte count, you know already what is a byte count. The byte count is going to tell you the total number of bytes that are needed to be transferred. Device address is going to specify to or from the device to the main memory the transfer initiated. you know that the track and sector field is going to be utilized for specifying a track and sector in the CD drive. Status, mostly for the errors, we're going to use the status. That is it all about 8089 IOP. Thank you.